They are angry. They are seething with rage. They are hurt.
Down, America! Down, America!
No, these men and women are not protesting against the government. They are raising the pitch to seek justice for one of their own. They are fighting for Devyani Khobragade. A top Indian diplomat in New York who was humiliated, targeted, even victimized by America. But what triggered this scandal? Who made the error? And who was framed? Why did one of the most powerful countries in the world use its might to corner an Indian officer? Was the indignity meted out to Devyani part of a mega US conspiracy?
The US Deputy Consul General of India in New York, handcuffed in public, taken into police custody, strip searched by US Marshals, cavity searched, swabbed and then holed up with hardened criminals. In the next 30 minutes, we bring you the story of the mega plot hatched by the US against an innocent Indian diplomat and how the conspiracy against her unfolded.
The uproar surrounding the arrest of Devyani Khobragade, India's Deputy Consul General, has captured the active imagination of India. But who is Devyani? And why has her arrest sparked this response? Devyani was a regular girl from a middle-class family. Daughter of a retired IAS officer, Uttam Khobragade. Born and brought up in Mumbai. She pursued an MBBS degree from St. GS Medical College and KEM Hospital in Mumbai. But instead of following medicine as a profession, Devyani opted for the foreign services.
Actually, absolutely fun-loving girl who used to do her work. By that, it never went beyond it. It was the fun in college, work. We both finished, both of us passed out, happy to be, then deciding what to do. I still remember she joined ophthalmology in KEM. I was cyan anesthesia. And one fine day she calls me saying, I don't want to do this. We all go through that phase. I want to give up my residency. So we said, okay. I said, this is a bad thing, just sleep in, we'll talk tomorrow. Over the weekend. Then slowly I started realizing she actually didn't want to do ophthalmology and do something else. And of course her dad and all being in the political scenes and the IAS officer. At one fine day she actually quit and called. I thought she was mad. I said, how can you just quit? For all of us doing medicine, that's the only world which existed for us. We didn't know life beyond it. Well, I think she knew much more because she used to see it differently. And I think she waited for a while to decide what she really wants. Went ahead and did her IFS, and she did really well.
After much hard work, Devyani cleared the civil service exam in 1999. And from here on, she embarked on her journey as a diplomat. December 11, 2013. Devyani Khobragade was hit by a bolt from the blue. The US department charged her with visa fraud and perjury. She was accused of submitting a visa application for her domestic help Sangeeta Richards, which contained materially false and inaccurate statements. Just 24 hours later, Devyani was arrested in New York. What began after her arrest can only be described as an assault on her person and her reputation. She was subjected to treatment that is reserved for hardened criminals. Humiliated, subjected to strip search, cavity search, DNA swabbing, and holed up in a cell full of drug addicts. The shocking news reached New Delhi when Devyani recounted her ordeal in a heart-wrenching letter to the IFS Association.
I can imagine how scary it must be for the little girls. They adore their mother, they accompany her on functions, and they are so proud of her. When I went to New York recently in July to meet them, and Devyani was invited to a to be a chief guest at one association of Indian developers. And she had taken us and the daughters, and when they asked Devyani to come and make the speech, both the girls went there immediately, you know, with her and stood with her. They are so proud of their mother. They know that, you know, I mean, in their limited way, they know that she's doing something good, like, you know, something important. And they're really proud of her for that. And, you know, now I mean, I don't know how they're going to react when they find out that their mother was actually arrested. I mean, I don't think that they, of course, they don't know what it means. They're too young. But definitely this is not what their childhood should have been like.
India was jolted. They had not seen this coming. This was not normal procedure, least of all when meted out to a diplomat. Clearly more to the story, and for once, the Indian government was not willing to take the blows lying down.
Devyani was such a wonderful woman. Now her own diary is saying, now, of course, she is elite. That she can't end. Of course, she was my daughter when I was holding such an important. What was wrong there? But she was very kind-hearted. She was very good to the people, and her all friends. Even today, Pakistan people remember her. So these are all nonsense, and where they were doing till today. If that was the case, they should have come in the social media so far. What was the? There is a. I will show you the photographs after this on my email. The Sangeeta was having gala time. We paid her more than what he should do. We were paying 30,000 rupees per month here. We provided room there, separate room. We used to have entire food, medical facility, airfare we paid. Then every Sunday she used to have a full break. She never used to be at home on Sunday. Used to go to the friend, go to church. In fact, she developed the friendship with one lady in the beauty parlor called Maggie. So can she do if we don't give the freedom? So who are these idiots who say that she was a spoiled brat?
For the family of Devyani, it's a very trying time. Just like the diplomat who's anguished, her family back here in Mumbai has felt the humiliation no less. For them, it's not only their daughter who has been disrespected, but the entire nation that has been disgraced.
It all began in November 2012. Devyani says she hired Sangeeta Richards, an Indian national, as domestic help. She claims that Sangeeta and her husband Philip approached her for a job as they needed money for their children's education. It was decided that Sangeeta would go to New York with Khobragare to take care of her household work for a monthly salary of Rs 30,000. In March 2013, problems started between Khobragare and Sangeeta, when the domestic help started pressurizing her employer to allow her to work outside on her off days. On June 21st, Khobragare went to New Jersey. But when she returned 2 days later, Sangeeta had gone missing.
This false case was made. Even while reading FIR, everybody come to know it is a bloody false case. And the way she was treated, the treatment showed the intention. That case is not the real reason. Real reason is something to teach this bloody Indian lesson. Who are they? They don't listen to us. India government was saying, you don't ask. Today also you are saying, you don't ask our particular. They are our people who will look into that. So they know. Whatever we say, you should listen. So this was a big conspiracy. It is basically an attack on the sovereignty of the India.
I have never seen her at home also when I've gone and sat with her. I've never seen her abuse a maid or, you know, be harsh to them. I think she's more of like, please get me a glass of water. And what I was reading today in the papers was like the maid's diary. Where the maid herself has said, I've been treated like family. Her kids are so courteous. I mean, I can't imagine Devyani abusing the maid.
You can't.
No. I mean, the payment structures, I believe she gets paid $4,000. How is she going to pay $4,500 to the maid? Doesn't she have 2 kids to look after? I mean, I thought the maid's fee, these things were fixed in India. What is she going to be paid? And she had complained against the maid in June. She's absconding. Why wasn't anything done? On a maid's charges, you arrest the diplomat. When the diplomat has complained, you ignore it.
But these events somehow did not justify the treatment meted out to a top officer. There were still some missing links. The other side of the story still wasn't clear.
Firstly, it shouldn't have been an issue at all. because the visa form was not signed by Devyani. She did not go to the US Embassy for any interview. It was the maid servant who, as in hundreds of other cases, signed the form and went to the US Embassy for the interview. So if there is anyone guilty of any issue at all, it is the maid servant, not the diplomat Devyani. I think America seems to have played the game of trap and then find excuses later. So it's very unfair and very undiplomatic and very unprecedented in terms of Vienna Convention.
Back in India, the anger was still growing. There were many details that were not adding up. Why has a maid become so important for America? Sangeeta Richards continues to be untraceable. If so, then on what grounds were the husband and children granted visas and on whose application? These were questions that India and Devyani's family were now beginning to ask.
I think this should have been avoided for the simple reason that the US knew that by asking for or demanding special pays for maids, they were violating the Article 47 of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, by which the pay of anyone employed by a consular agent who comes from outside the country where he is posted, from his own country, is determined by him. The United States has no say. So this is a violation of that. Second, we knew of this law and we've been pressing to the US to have an agreement whereby we stick to the practices we had been following. They have been stalling.
Because it is a fact that Sangeeta's husband and children flew to the US the same day they got their hands on the visas. Why was there a hurry? Why were they flown into a foreign country just 2 days before Devyani's arrest? The questions were clearly pointing in one direction, and the conspiracy was becoming increasingly clear.
Once there was a lot of talk about two great democracies meeting up and making friends. Now in this 1 week there's a considerable chill in Indo-US ties. The question now is, can India and America get over Devyani Gate?
Devyani's maid has been in touch with church groups, highly influential in the United States. Only they are powerful enough to influence others. So yes, she's been there and she has conspired with those church groups and with the prosecutor Behara to arrange for her husband and her 2 children to be flown. Now, it's astonishing. Even people with large wealth get no visas. For them to get visas to be flown out just before the whole story breaks obviously means there is a conspiracy. The conspiracy includes the following: the church groups and the maid, her family in India, that is on one side, the prosecutor who took great pride in saying that they would have been persecuted in India, and unquestionably the State Department, who must have gone along with the church groups because they had decided to prosecute in any case.
To unravel the mystery, our team tried to track down the domestic help's family in the capital.
Devyani, through MEA, filed an FIR with the Delhi police in October. In her FIR, Devyani claimed that Sangeeta and her husband Richard duped her. She claimed that Sangeeta took up the job only with the sole purpose of getting an Indian passport and going to New York.
Sangeeta's father-in-law is in the staff of the US Embassy in Delhi. But here too, there was little that the people were ready to offer.
When Times Now went to the residence of Sangeeta Richard, they found a locked house. Neighbors claimed that police used to come here to question Sangeeta's husband Richard. Around 10 days back, Richard told the neighbors that he is going to Goa and never told them that he, along with his 2 children, were instead flying down to New York.
But America was not ready to budge. Despite the conspiracy becoming more than evident, they stuck to the argument that they were simply following procedure.
America is responding in a very tough fashion. It is responding in a very arbitrary fashion, and it is interpreting Vienna Convention arbitrarily to the disadvantage of India and Indian diplomats, and to the advantage of American consular officials posted in India. What I am surprised at is, why doesn't America arrest a Pakistani consular official? After all, they also employ maid servants and men servants. They have never been arrested. Why single out Indians time and again?
In the midst of this, contrary reports began to emerge. The US State Department claimed that the government had taken steps to reunite Sangeeta's family and was aware of allegations that the family was intimidated in India. In fact, a person close to Sangeeta's family claimed in a report that her husband was confronted by a man with a gun who demanded that his wife return home. There was no real proof to back these allegations, and the fact that they were being released selectively in the international media raised questions.
संगीता और उनके हस्बैंड कब से रह रहे थे और कब से लोग मिसिंग हैं?
Well, the whole issue should be tackled with firmness. We should do to Americans what they have done to Devyani and to a number of other Indian diplomats and consular officers posted in America. Fortunately, the world does not react to the decency. World reacts to toughness, world reacts to firm stand, and world reacts if a country stands up for its rights and rights of the citizens.
My phone was seized. I was confined to that room, not allowed to get up, not allowed to talk to anybody within the embassy or outside, and made to sign the letter of resignation.
For those who knew Devyani, the accusation have come as a massive blow. They remember her as a hard-working, honest officer, and the charges for them seemed completely baseless.
Knowing Devyani closely as a person, it's hard to believe that she would have abused, exploited, or even made her house servant work for extra hours. In fact, the page from Sangeeta Richards' own diary, which is now in public domain, goes on to suggest that Devyani, her husband and her kids treated her very well, and that she was having a pleasant and a comfortable stay at their residence in New York.
Oh, when I read it, I was shocked at something that as a diplomat could, be handled in that way. I mean, come on, she's just dropping her kids to school like any mother does on a morning of a working school day. She was not actually running away or hiding where you catch her, handcuff her, take her, strip search her. You don't expect her. What do you expect her to be carrying to school? I mean, I think as a diplomat, she needs that dignity. You can't just humiliate a person like that.
But this is not the first time that US has so brazenly displayed its arrogance and high-handedness. Dr. Aparna Srivastav was in for a rude shock during her stint at the US Embassy in New Delhi.
There were instances wherein I didn't I was asked to write in a particular manner, where criticizing India and tweak the reports, which I didn't. I guess that is what went against me. And therein my phone was seized. I was confined to that room, not allowed to get up, not allowed to talk to anybody within the embassy or outside, and made to sign the letter of resignation.
A diligent employee whose tenure ended unceremoniously, simply because she refused to toe the line.
There were accusations like I was argumentative and protective about NHRC, my previous employers, that I was not performing well and that I was leaking information. And the HR didn't allow me to respond to these questions.
For a country with such evident double standards, the claim of following procedures in Devyani's case just ring hollow. In fact, when top US Attorney Preet Bharara questioned India, the hypocrisy only became too evident.
Despite the furor in India and amongst Indians back in America, the US has refused to budge from the stand it has taken. Not heeding to India's repeated demand of an unconditional apology, the US has only chosen to express regret while going on to reiterate that its stand and its action taken against Devyani Khobragade is completely justified.
They overlooked facts. They victimized an Indian officer. And now, despite India completely demolishing their allegations, America continues to remain defiant, latching on to pointless arguments. The scandal has become bigger, escalated to a global level. But the lid has been blown off the Washington conspiracy, and Uncle Sam must now retrace its steps.